Hi, broadcasting not live from Cupola, Mexico. I'm Bill the Geek. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel. Welcome. On the Bill Dallas Lewis channel, we do all things Mexico. Mexico cities, Mexico towns, historical sites, the lake, the ocean, places you can eat, places you can stay in a hotel, places you can rent. We do all things Mexico, and we come out with videos regularly. You want to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I've lived in Mexico for 16 years, and I've lived in 6 places in 16 years. And I'm going to tell you how I found each of the places that I've lived in. The amazing thing is everywhere I moved to got better and the prices went down over a period of 16 years, and each place got more fabulous, more fabulous, more fabulous. So if you're thinking about moving to Mexico, these are tips that I hope can really help you out. I'm going to tell you a story about living in Mexico, and when I first moved to Mexico, I was kind of bigoted about what lifestyle, like where I could live, what a nice place was, how do Mexican nationals live. But the longer I lived here, I learned more and more and more about what you can live in and the prices that you can pay. And this video is about helping people see that the prices can be really good for really low for high quality places. And I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made when I first moved down here, because I was paying a lot of money for a really crappy place. I was happy, but I didn't know what was going on. So I just want to share with you what I learned in living in finding and living in 6 different places in Mexico over the period of 16 years. I hope this helps you out. I really wasn't sure what to title this video. One idea was American Finding an Apartment in Mexico, or American Finding Apartments in Mexico. How about how to find an apartment in Mexico? How about finding an apartment in Mexico? I guess the basic title would be Renting in Mexico. Well, let the journey begin. Yeah, I've lived down here for 16 years. I've lived all over the world. I've traveled throughout the United States. I used to write and illustrate children's books, so schools invited me into their schools all over the United States to show their children how to write books and create advanced computer graphics and websites. So I've been in schools in all 48 contiguous states and in many schools in Europe, Turkey, Germany, places like that. So I've been around the world quite a bit. So I'm going to take you on a journey through my 16 years of finding places to stay in Mexico, and I'm going to show you how each place that I found it in its own little unique fashion. The way I ended up in Mexico is when I was at Dartmouth College, all the students had to study some language. And so you had to go to the country and study the language. So I chose to go to San Luis Potosi, Mexico, and study Spanish there. I lived with a Mexican family. It was fabulous. And the Mexican people treated me great. And it's something that I never forgot. So after writing and illustrating children's books for 15 years and going all around the world showing people how to do computer graphics, then I landed a job in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco, a block away from Chinatown, a block away from the Pyramid Building, and I was teaching advanced computer graphics to corporate designers from the Gap, Old Navy, United States Air Force, people like that. And I learned a lot over a 5-year period teaching advanced computer graphics in downtown San Francisco. Then Citigroup wanted me to teach their graphic designers computer animation in New York City. I was in San Francisco. So they told me, oh, you can just show our people how to do this through the computer. We can see your computer. They can see your computer. We'll get it done like that. And they're going to pay me like $150 an hour. So that's when I started teaching online. When I first got to San Francisco, I told myself, okay, I'm going to do this for 4 years and learn all that I can. It's going to be like going to college, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do next. So at the end of 5 years, I said, you know, maybe I'll move back to Columbus, Ohio, my hometown, and give that a shot. What would it be like to go back to my hometown? So I went back to Columbus, Ohio, moved in with my best friend who had this huge, giant house, just him and me. And I was teaching computer graphics online to people all over the United States and in Australia, Europe. And it was great. I was making money, didn't have to leave the house. And it was fantastic. And then two things happened. One, Columbus, Ohio got very boring, and I arrived there in June, and then October came, and then November, and it started to get really cold. Though I had lived in New Hampshire going to Dartmouth College for 4 years, and where in January it's like 50 below zero, 5 feet of snow on the ground, I had forgotten what it was like for it to be really cold. And then it went down to 17 degrees in Columbus, Ohio, and I was shocked. So something told myself, self, you can live anywhere in the world. Why are you living in Columbus, Ohio? So then I thought back to San Luis Potosi, Mexico, and I had heard about Puerto Vallarta. I'd never been there, but my friends in my Spanish program went to visit there for a week, and they told me how fabulous it was, and then little light bulbs started going off in my head. So here's how I found my first apartment in Mexico. What I did, now this is 16 years ago, the internet isn't what it is now, but I did searches in Google for apartments in Puerto Vallarta. And there were websites, and many of these websites were from Americans or Canadians, bars, restaurants of expats. And so I started emailing and calling these people and talking to these people, all Americans or Canadians living in Puerto Vallarta. And the people were very friendly. They gave me a lot of information. I really wanted to know about internet speed, cost of living, how much was it going to cost me to rent a place, what it was like living there, could I communicate with my clients in the United States? All of these were questions that had to be answered if I was going to live in Mexico and make money and be able to pay my rent every month. So I remember, I don't remember this guy's name, but he was an American and he was renting an apartment in Puerto Vallarta, and he gave me all kinds of information about internet speed. He introduced me to a service called Magic Jack. With Magic Jack, it's a phone service, and you can call from Mexico to the United States for $37 a year. So I signed up for Magic Jack. I got a San Francisco phone number. My phone number now is a San Francisco phone number, has a 415 area code, so I could advertise my services on the internet. And people would call 415, which is downtown San Francisco. So if I'm teaching advanced computer graphics and I have a 415 area code, I'm in downtown San Francisco, that's a person you want to know and that you can learn from. But anyway, this guy gave me tons of information. I called some other people. I got more information. And as I got more and more information, then I was sure that I could make my move to Mexico. I could work online, have internet service that was very good. There was a phone number that people could call in the United States to contact me, and I could get business. I can pay rent. I'm ready to move to Mexico. Now, the thing is, I didn't know anything about Mexico, living in Mexico, and I had these preconceptions about Mexico, like, oh, well, I'll just get an apartment. I know it won't be like living in the United States. I mean, the places might not be very nice, but I'll just move there and get started, and it'll be warm. I'll be near the beach, and everything will be okay. I'll just take what I can get. So I found an apartment, and here are the pictures of the apartment that I saw on the internet. I contacted the owners that lived in California, and it was a 1-bedroom apartment. It was more like a studio than an apartment. And you just look at the pictures here, but it had a swimming pool. It was 3 blocks away from the beach, and it was $700 a month. This is 16 years ago. That's like 14,000 pesos. 16 years ago, and they wanted that month's rent, and they wanted the deposit of $700 also. So I paid them the money. So they have like $1,400 of my money 16 years ago. And then in February, I forget what year it was, I had a trash bag of clothes and a hard drive and a monitor, and I moved to Mexico, and I told them specifically that the next day I have to be on the internet teaching classes. So I land in Puerto Vallarta. The taxi takes me to the place where I'm going to stay. My Spanish isn't that good, but the people were there waiting for me, and I hooked up my computer stuff. And the next day at 10 a.m., the internet people came, plugged me in, and I was online. The next day at 10 a.m., I was ready to go. It was great. The apartment wasn't that pretty. It was fully furnished with all knives, forks, sheets, towels. The colors weren't that great, and the accommodations, they were old, but they were clean. And it was in this little condominium called Loma del Mar, 3 blocks away from the beach. And this is in February, so I would set up my appointments, get all ready, get up early in the morning. And Puerto Vallarta is a party town, so my job was just to be at home. And after I worked all day, then I could go down to the beach, maybe go to some bars, go to a restaurant, something like that. But what I really remember is every morning I would walk 3 blocks to the beach. I would go to this place called Dee's Cafe. Dee's Cafe is still on the beach. You can find it. The owner's name is Dee. She's Canadian. She used to work for Starbucks. She opened her own coffee company. But I would go down to the beach, get 2 cups of coffee, sit on the beach, watch the ocean before I went back to the apartment, and I would teach classes. I got to know my neighbors who had this big studio next to my apartment. They were retired Canadians, and I got to be friends with them. I would go over and eat dinner with them. They were wonderful people. And they said, well, we're going back to Canada next month, so I guess they'll be renting this apartment. And I loved their studio. It was huge. It was like, it had a cement floor, but it was about the size of 3 2-car garages, all one room, fully furnished, and a bit of a view of the ocean. So here are some pictures of that apartment. These pictures that you're seeing now were taken by CNN. They did a story on me like 15 years ago, and about how I did business online. But these pictures don't show the apartment justice. But anyway, I loved it there. And I loved going to the pool. I loved going to the beach. And one day, something really magical happened to me. That was apartment number 2. I'm in the pool one day, and I meet this guy named Paco. It ends up that he was the editor for Vallarta magazine. It's the best magazine in Puerto Vallarta, right? So we're in the pool, and he says, well, what do you do? I said, I do this, that. And I was doing animation, internet animation. And he says, you know, I know a guy that might need your services. Here's his number, call him up and set an appointment. So I did. this guy that I was supposed to meet, his name is Don Pickens, and he owns Casa Cupola Resort. It's on a big hill overlooking the ocean, and it's one of the top rated gay resorts in the world. It's in the top 5 in the world. So I go to visit Don, and he was doing this project where he was building these new apartments. It's kind of complicated, and he wanted to sell them like timeshares. So he needed some really good animation to put on the website to sell these timeshares. I'm sorry for the Casa Cupola segment. I don't have pictures of my place or my views. I had a external hard drive. That hard drive crashed, but I'm happy that I had pictures of everywhere else. So I'm going to have to resort to the Casa Cupola website and pictures from their website to give you an idea of what that living experience was like. I start doing some work for Don. I'm charging full price. At that time it was $35 an hour. I was doing like 20 hours a week of work for Don. And so I go for a couple of appointments, and the place I was living was okay, but I wanted something different. And I said, Don, if you find it, if you know anybody that wants to rent an apartment, would you let me know? And he said, oh, and he had, sure, he owned the resort, but he had this big giant house with a deck about the size of this backyard back here, and it all overlooked the ocean. It was unbelievable. And then on one side of the deck, there was a swimming pool that overlooked the ocean. And he says, well, I got a place, you can rent it, it's right downstairs from here. So right below his house was an apartment with a big window overlooking the ocean. It was like a 1-bedroom. It was a small place, fully furnished, and there was a door that opened up, and when you walk out that door, you're at this swimming pool overlooking the ocean. I said, well, how much is this? He says, oh, it'd be like $600 a month. I said, I'll take it. So I moved in, and I lived right under Don for 3 years. The good thing about living at Casa Cupola was I was like family. Don gave me the keys to the hotel, so I'd get up in the morning, unlock the door to the hotel, go make my own coffee, and it was like a 10-yard walk from my door to the hotel. And they were always having parties and stuff like that. The downside, oh yeah, and so when I'm teaching my classes, I'm in front of this sliding glass door overlooking the ocean, teaching online computer classes all day. Then I go out to the swimming pool, maybe at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, take a dip, then go and teach some more classes. The downside was the place was up on a hill. So every day, and this is only like 4 blocks from the ocean, but the walk down the hill every day was fine. But the walk back was a bit challenging, so I would take a taxi back to my apartment every day, but that only costs like 40 pesos. That's like 12 years ago, so that's like $2 to get back, you know, with groceries and stuff like that. And but it got a little old after a while, even with a view of the ocean. Also, Casa Cupola was a little isolated. It was up on this hill. There was really no community up there other than the hotel. And I wanted to live in Puerto Vallarta, where there were Mexican nationals. And I wanted to live in a flat environment where I could just walk to maybe this little place, that little place, walk to the ocean without going up and down and up and down and up and down. So I started searching the internet for apartments in Puerto Vallarta. Back then, I guess this is like 10 years ago, Craigslist was really huge. And I tell you what, when I was in Puerto Vallarta, I made a lot of money off Craigslist, posting ads to teach classes. Things have changed a lot since then. But anyway, I got on Craigslist, I think it was Craigslist, and I found an apartment with pictures. They had nice pictures of the apartment. You're going to see the pictures of the apartment in a second. And that's when I met Mike. And Mike said, well, here's the address. And I didn't know Puerto Vallarta I mean, you know, yeah, I'd lived there at this point for 3 or 4 years, but Puerto Vallarta is a big place. He gave me an address, and I said, well, I don't know where that is. He says, well, meet me at McDonald's. For those of you that are familiar with Puerto Vallarta, at the end of the Malecon, there's a McDonald's, and he says, well, meet me there, and then I'll drive you to the apartment. We get to the apartment, and the neighborhood is a real, it's like a lower middle class Mexican national environment. And it's all flat, but Mike and Charlie, they were married for like, well, they'd been together 25 years. They moved to Mexico, bought this property, totally redid it. They tore it down, built it back up, and it looked like a Marriott hotel inside. They lived downstairs, and everything was marble, all new appliances, and I was going to live upstairs from them. And this had a dishwasher, microwave, brand new stove, refrigerator, marble floors, big king-size bed that was off the ground, luxurious bathtub, swimming pool, a huge deck on top above my apartment, a wonderful washer dryer. It was fabulous. I said, Mike, how much is it for this place a month? He says, oh, it's going to be 8,000 pesos a month, and that would be $400 a month. So I just found this on Google, and I gave him on Craigslist. I gave him a deposit, and I stayed with Mike and Charlie for 5 years. But think about that. I started at $700 a month in kind of a hellhole place. Then I went to Casa Cupola, and I was paying like $600 a month. Now I'm at Mike and Charlie's in this fabulous place for $400 a month. Now, a big part of this video, I want to share with people that are thinking about moving to Mexico. I was uninformed. I didn't think, this is terrible what I'm about to say now. I didn't think that there were luxury places in Mexico. I thought everybody was living in a place like the first place that I moved into. But the more I got to know people, the more I got to see. And I met a lot of Americans, and then I started meeting more Mexicans, and then I found out that you can live in places that are way more fabulous than places where people live in the United States. That's a big part of this video. And the thing is, you can find a place that is really nice, extremely modern, and not for too much money. We go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's Chicago time, San Antonio time, Houston time. We have people from all over the world that get together and talk about living in Mexico. It's a fantastic experience. So hit the subscribe button so you get notified, so that you just click a button and you're in at 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. Now I live here, I'm married to Teresa, but I met Teresa in Puerto Vallarta. And I have a video about how I met Teresa. That's a whole different story. But so after we had seen each other a few times, she was living in Guadalajara, I was living in Puerto Vallarta. Then here's another way to find an apartment. I need a place to stay, so the real old-fashioned way is you get in a car and you just drive around the neighborhood that you want to live in. A lot of people don't don't use internet, don't use social media. And these people have money and they have properties. So what do? They put up a little sign in front of the house that says for rent. You're not going to find it on Google or anywhere. So Teresa's daughter and me, Teresa and her daughter get in the car and we're driving around the neighborhood, and then we find this fabulous 4-bedroom house, 4 bathrooms, upstairs, downstairs, nice kitchen, backyard, a parking, a garage with electric doors that open out onto the street for me to keep my car in. And the price was 7,000 pesos a month. That's $350 a month. Now I'm paying half of what I was paying in my first apartment. And the place is fabulous, and right a half a block from there, there's 2 major supermarkets. There was a Little Caesars Pizza, gas station, 7-Eleven right on the corner, a half a block away, Costco a half mile away, a big shopping mall, fabulous, that's like a half a mile away. And in there, at that time, they had like Best Buy, Sears, Applebee's. It was, a VIP movie theater. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I was so bigoted about what I was going to find in Mexico. It was just awesome. So then I'm paying $350 a month. I'm living a fabulous life, super high-speed internet, all is good. I'm finding apartments in many different ways. And if you're thinking about moving to Mexico, bite the bullet, spend the big money for 6 months or a year and get out and look around and then find the fabulous. So now I live here with Teresa. We're married now. Teresa owns this house, so I live here for free. This is a brand new house. We found it totally by accident. Teresa she was born in Mexico City, but she grew up in Guadalajara, but she always wanted to live in Cupola. She says, I'm going to buy a house somewhere. I think I want to buy a house in Cupola. I said, doesn't matter to me, because I'm just a tourist, okay? So everything is new to me. It doesn't matter where I live. So I don't even know how we ended up finding this place. I'm going to give you a little walking tour here in a second. But we came to this house. They were finishing the final construction. The place was totally done, but they hadn't put the front door on yet. So we walked in by accident, and the architect was in here, and he says, and we asked him, how much does this cost? And he told us, and he says, are you interested? Because the owner's like right next door. And so he went and got the owner, Jaime, and we talked to him, and and then Teresa bought the house. And this house is fabulous. I mean, for some people, it might be small, but for 2 people, it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You're going to see a huge kitchen. You can see the backyard out here. I always shoot out in the backyard. It's fabulous. You can live fabulous in Mexico. And it's warm here. Cupola has the best climate in the world, and there's no snow, and it doesn't get freezing cold. I love Mexico, and these are the numerous ways that I have found apartments and houses to live in Mexico. So you don't have to live in a crappy place. You can live in a wonderful place and not pay a lot of money, and you can buy a place also. Hey, leave a comment. Tell us what we left out, what we should put in, what videos you would like to see in the future. Leave a comment, click the like button, and hit the subscribe button. Do it all at the same time. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for my subscribers. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I hope this information was useful. Come on down to Mexico and live a warm, lovely life. I love it down here. I love Mexico. I love my subscribers. So we have many more videos to come. Thanks for joining Bill the Geek on the Bill the Geek channel. See you on our next video.